Check. Testing. 1, 2, 3. I can't believe we're doing this.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh man. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well,
See how that sounded.
Okay. Whew. Sorry. Okay.
Hi, Charlotte.
Madeline, hello.
We are back.
This
And,
our first Thursday episode
Oh my God, it is.
with The Athletic.
Wow. We officially joined the Athletic Podcast Network, which is just so incredible. We are
Yeah.
so thrilled to be here.
Yes, thank you to everybody for all the kind words. We are thrilled that we could bring a play about Luka Doncic and Rob Pelinka to The Athletic in our first episode.
Yes. Only the finest.
Yeah, that felt important.
It was very important.
Speaking of important,
Yeah. Well, if you've seen the title of this episode, you probably know what we're going to talk about. We have had the absolute craziest past week and a half, 2 weeks.
this has been okay. So you know what? Let's just say it. Jordon Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Bill Belichick, head coach of UNC, former Patriots head coach. Jordon Hudson, his 24-year-old girlfriend, who's been in the news. She called me out of the blue 2 Saturdays ago at 9:07 p.m.
Yes, she did. Which,
So
talk about a reveal.
we and we'll tell you the whole story.
Yes.
We spent the last week. We talked to her for 5 hours over the course of last week. Just to preface, like, this is our recollection, our feelings, our sort of guesses as to what was happening through this whole situation.
Yeah.
We are not here, again, to slander Jordon. We said that at the top of the Miss Maine episode. We still stand by that. Anything that we say is not meant to be a personal attack. I'm sure she has a very different experience and takeaway from her experience with us. And so we want to put that out there. Like, this is a subjective situation, but we feel like we have no choice but to say what happened because she's the biggest story in sports.
Yeah.
And we said that to her.
Yeah.
And we said one of the times we talked to her that we were going to be talking about this if she didn't come on the show, and she is not here. So
Yeah.
we thought that this episode was going to be an exclusive interview with her.
Yeah, it is not.
It's clear she's
No,
not here.
She's not here.
We are.
Yes.
So it's going to be a very different episode, but I think a revealing one nonetheless.
Yes.
Methinks
Methinks it must be.
I feel crazy. Anyway.
A little crazy. And as I mentioned at the top, we joined the Athletic Podcast Network, and the Athletic factors into the story, which we will get to.
Yeah.
But just need to call that out.
Yeah. Shout out to our new family.
New family.
All right. Speaking of the Athletic and journalism, I have been a journalist for 15 years. I've had a lot of very weird experiences. I once rode an ATV in the backwoods of Tennessee with an NFL coach.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, no, like the list. I
Okay.
crashed a wedding in Cleveland in the mascot of the Cleveland Guardians as a hot dog.
Well, of course. Yeah.
The list goes on. And this is the weirdest, this has been the strangest experience of my career.
Yeah, this is certainly the strangest experience of my career. I worked in media and entertainment for over a decade, and I think this has truly been a masterclass in PR and fame and what it means to be catapulted into the spotlight and what you do with that fame. And it has just been a fascinating and bananas ride.
Yeah, and I think too, like, a really interesting look at journalism in 2025.
Yeah.
What does it look like? I think very strange that we are a part of the story. We're not just reporting on the story. We're not just trying to make sense of the story. Like, we are in it. And by doing this show, especially, like, we're really in it because we have to tell you what happened because we've been covering this story. You know, it's like it's a sort of inception of journalism and PR. And, you know, you've worked in you understand the machinations of fame and celebrity and behind the scenes of that. I've been sort of on the other side, so our heads have been spinning with the key takeaways from this experience.
Understatement of the century.
Yeah.
Okay, just a little bit of backstory on our history with Jordon Hudson, just in general. We started talking about Jordon Hudson and Bill Belichick back in October. I believe it was October 8th. And in that episode, I suspected that Jordon was running Bill Belichick's Instagram account because he had accepted a collab post on Instagram, which I was like, there's literally no way Bill Belichick knows how to accept a collab post on Instagram.
Yes, for a little background, as a lifelong Patriots fan, so if you liked me, now you don't. Bill Belichick,
Boston's fan.
Sorry.
Okay.
Bill Belichick has been famously anti-social media, didn't like the media. His slogan when the Patriots, in the 2010s was "Do your job," was no days off. He once gave a press conference where he answered every question with "We're on to Cincinnati." This is not a man who has been known for his eloquence in front of a microphone or his desire to speak to the public.
No.
And then he joins Instagram, and there are a couple posts too that just seem. There was one with like a crackly green background.
Yeah, it was like a Canva background, and I was like, does Bill Belichick know how to use Canva? Like, what is happening here? And so we just suspected like Jordon was running his Instagram account, which she was.
Yeah.
So that was like our first kind of taste of the Jordon Hudson story.
Right, well, she's also 24, so
Yeah.
you'd think sort of internet literate.
Yes.
And we certainly have talked about her because of her Instagram presence, mostly, I would say.
Yeah.
Also, there was the CBS interview. Go watch our previous episodes. We've done 4 that are specifically about Bill and Jordon, including one where we went to the Miss Maine pageant in which Jordon competed and came in second runner-up.
Yeah.
We were there. We felt like we had to go.
Yeah, it felt like it would do the story a disservice if we didn't go. I was like, we got to get the full picture of what's going on here.
Right,
Like,
especially because we have been trying to cover this, keeping in mind that she is a person.
Right.
She's a young woman. We didn't know what kind of coverage was going to come out of that, if people were going to look at the whole picture. I mean, a lot of our episode about the Miss Maine pageant that Jordon competed in was about the Miss Maine pageant.
Yeah.
Like, not about Jordon, because we
No.
got very into it, and I think it's really important to take things like that seriously, things that, maybe people might deride as like, oh, this is just this feminine, silly thing. It's like, no, this is what these women have been working very hard to win.
Yeah.
And we wanted to bring that perspective. I think we did.
I think we did.
I don't know that Jordon thinks we did because, I mean, basically she's been our white whale. Truly, yes. It's like I am Ishmael. This is she like the thought that we would ever talk to her. It was because no one's talked to her.
To our knowledge, no one has spoken to her. So for her to call Charlotte out of the blue was so unbelievable. Like, it was just when Charlotte told me, I was just like, what? Are we being pranked?
Well,
like, what?
Right. And I think too, it's interesting because she never responds to requests for comment from journalists. I think we suspected before we spoke to her, just looking at her social media, it's very much her against the world, her against the media, her and Bill against the media.
Yeah.
And I think too, she seems to want it both ways of, she's a public figure.
Yes.
She has 100,000 followers on Instagram. She poses on red carpets.
Yep. She attends the NFL honors with her boyfriend, Bill Belichick, on national television.
Front row.
Yep.
And at the same time, there's, this, we hadn't heard her speak. And I was thinking the week before she called, the part of why I think she called, she followed us after the Miss Maine pageant.
She had followed us after the Miss Maine pageant, which we had announced a few weeks after that, and then subsequently sent her 2 messages to come on the show, which obviously weren't responded to. And then later on, I realized she had unfollowed us recently, and I said to her, I was like, I feel like we should talk about this on the show.
Yeah.
So we did, and then we posted a clip on Instagram and tagged her Instagram handle in the post, being like, hey, are you coming on? Like, come on the show or not? And then I think it was the next day.
No, it was the next day.
It was the next day. We posted that on a Friday, and then the next night is when Jordon called Charlotte. So she definitely saw the post.
Yes, she she definitely saw it, and I had been thinking how strange it was that the only time we have physically seen her was at the Miss Maine pageant. The only time we've heard her voice really has been the Miss Maine pageant and a CBS interview where she interrupted the interviewer talking to Bill Belichick. When the interviewer asked how they met, she said, "We're not talking about this." And that's kind of the moment that this whole story exploded beyond the sports world, I would say.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So, okay. Let's get into it. Oh my God, my heart is, I'm like,
your heart is pounding.
Well, okay, so let me set the scene. It's a Saturday night. My voice just cracked. It's a Saturday night. I am, my husband and I had a lovely dinner, a steak from Della Pietra's butcher shop up on it.
You love a steak.
Yeah, I love a steak. I had a steak.
Charlotte and I went to dinner. We went to Hillstown on Tuesday, and Charlotte got the biggest steak I've ever seen and just demolished it.
Ate the whole thing.
I was like, what is happening? I was like, yeah, go for it.
I was
You're
hungry.
a steak queen.
I was hungry, and I love steak.
Maybe that was like your first solid meal.
No, that right.
Since this whole ordeal.
Yeah,
we were like, we've had no appetite. So we're just downing smoothies.
I haven't been sleeping because this is the craziest week of our life. Because keep in mind, we're talking to Jordon for hours at a time on the phone, on FaceTime. We are also coordinating with the amazing team at The Athletic to launch our show on Tuesday. Also figure out, okay, well, I guess this is what this episode is going to be on Thursday. When are we going to record that? Here we are. So Madeline and I have been having a lot of smoothies.
A lot of smoothies.
It's like I don't really have an appetite.
No.
So I did eat breakfast.
So did I. We're good.
Yeah.
Breakfast of champions.
We're coming on. We're at the crest of the hill.
Yeah.
So lovely dinner. My husband and I are just sitting on the couch trying to figure out what to watch. I think, gave up for a sec as married couples are wont to do.
Yes.
And we're just looking at our phones, and a number that is not in my phone pops up.
Yeah.
But it didn't say spam. It didn't say call wasn't silenced, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And I was like, should I answer it? And Tyler, my husband, was like, no. And I was like, okay. And then they call back immediately after I press the red don't answer button.
Yeah.
And something in me, I was just like, I don't know. I'm going to answer. I had like a spidey sense. I was like, I'm going to answer this. So I answer the phone. I'm lying down on the couch on my back to paint a picture. I answer the phone, and there's a woman's voice on the other end. She says, I say, hello. She says, hi. And I was like, hey. She's like,
You're like,
is this Charlotte? And, I think the way that my mother taught me to answer the phone in the 90s, when someone says, is this Charlotte? You say, this is she.
Yes.
I said, this is she.
We had a landline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this woman goes, how are you? And I was like, sorry. Again, in the way that my wonderful mother taught me to answer the phone, may I ask who's calling, please?
Great line.
And
Great line.
I know. I have manners.
Yeah, of course.
And this woman goes, this is Jordon Hudson. So my heart starts beating pretty quickly because this is like a poster started talking and came off of the wall.
Yes.
This is like you're sitting down with Bigfoot after no one's seen him forever.
Ever, because he's Bigfoot.
Right. No, like there's not it's like Bigfoot.
It's like a mysterious figure has appeared. It's like you've seen a ghost, honestly.
Yes.
I feel like you saw a ghost, and that ghost was Jordon Hudson.
Yeah. So I'm trying very hard to kind of not betray that I am a little rattled by this.
Yeah, you're being chill.
So she keeps talking, and she goes, yeah, it's Jordon, the president of your universe.
Unbelievable. Put it on a mug.
And I said, well, Jordon, yes, you certainly are the president of my universe. I'm like, what? My husband, meanwhile, was like, I'm mouthing to him. I'm like, it's Jordon Hudson. And he was like, he's on the couch and he was like, what? And he's like, he gets up.
He saw a ghost.
No, he saw a ghost. So he gets up. He walks into the kitchen. He walks into the bedroom. He sits down at the dining room table, which is right here. He gets me a notepad and paper. He's like, he thinks I'm being pranked.
Yeah.
He thinks someone is pranking me, and he's like worried about what's happening. And I'm like, no, it's really her. I'm like, trust me, it's her. And I think she said it's the president of your universe because in the Miss Maine pageant, do you remember?
No.
When you talked about seeing her for the first time, you said it's like
president
seeing the president.
Oh my God. Wait, yes. callback, Jordan. Okay, I like that. Oh, I said
Little
it's like seeing the
Easter egg.
president of the United States.
Which also, like, right now,
Yeah, in this climate,
like that. Speaking of the '90s, like it was like seeing the president in a '90s movie.
yes.
Like
you know
Dave.
how I felt seeing her, and then I would imagine how you felt when she
What?
called. Was a few days ago, Charlotte and I went on a walk, and they were filming The Devil Wears Prada 2 near us, and it is my favorite movie of all time. Anne Hathaway, you can come on the show at any point. And seeing her film The Devil Wears Prada sequel was unbelievable. I was like, I can't believe I'm witnessing entertainment history, film history right before my eyes. I imagine that's what it was like.
Kind of. Not really. It
Wasn't the word. Well, in the opposite way.
Yeah.
Not in a fun way.
It was the Wario experience of seeing Anne Hathaway in The Devil Wears Prada. It really was like, but at the same time, like, she is a source. I'm a journalist. Like, she called a reporter. And,
right.
And so everything I'm doing, I'm saying, assuming she is recording me. I'm assuming, like, I didn't say, I tried to keep saying, like, I hear you, blah, blah, blah. And it was unclear to me why she was calling it first. And
yeah.
I couldn't tell if, like, I tried very hard to just be normal, which I think I actually succeeded in somehow. It was like every moment that I've been on live TV, all of my journalism it all just like kicked in, and and I was like, "Hey, Jordan, how are you? Where are you right now?"
Yeah.
And my husband was like, "I couldn't believe like how normal you were talking to her," and I was like, "Thank you." And she seemed like I couldn't tell what the tone was. She would oscillate between like friendly, but there was clearly like an edge to her voice where she kind of wanted to let me have it. She wanted to talk about our Miss Maine episode. She wanted to talk about our opinions around the pageant.
Yeah.
And there were three main questions she had that, and she's talking in circles, using a lot of legalese, like words, sort of like her Instagram captions, where
little word salady.
Yeah, and where it's not like exactly the correct word for what I think maybe she's trying to say, and she wants to know why we said that her competing in the Miss Maine pageant would take away the platform and resources from someone else competing in the pageant who needs them more. There's like a whole package of pageant training and all
photo shoots. Beauty treatments.
Yeah.
If you won the pageant.
And also, the title of Miss Maine, and I think it's not an opinion. Jordan is more famous than Miss Maine could ever make anybody.
Absolutely.
She wanted to know why we said that. She also wanted to know why we said that we felt that it was her and Bill against the world. And she also wanted to know why we didn't report that the winner of the Miss Maine pageant, a woman named Shelby, was not actually from Maine.
Yeah.
Which we did report in the following episode. I looked into it, found out that Shelby was actually from San Diego, talked to a few of the women involved in the pageant, not Jordan, about the practice of state hopping, where people will compete in these pageants because they think it'll be the easiest one to win so that they can try to be in Miss USA. Mm-hmm. And we reported that on the follow-up episode. So I was like, we did. I said, look, if there's anything we've gotten wrong fact-wise, like, I would love to know. Like, tell us, we'll correct the record. And she never had a thing.
No,
for concrete.
Which became a common theme of our week with Jordan.
Yeah, so sorry. So anyway, I'm on the phone at minute 37. I started to get a little bit like, this is indulgent and this is not productive. Like either, and I was like, I would like to speak to you with Madeline on the phone. She kept asking me these questions, being like, what was it? And I was like, I'm not comfortable answering that without Madeline here.
Yeah.
Also, it's like, we're not going to just tell you, like, this is either reporting and you're telling us something. We're not just going to tell you our opinion.
No.
So I finally was like, look, Jordan, I have to hop off, but like, we'll put you on a text with Madeline and with me, and we'll find a time to talk this week. She was like, okay, great. And then she goes, Madeline is going to flip when you tell her that I called. Which
I gasped when Charlotte told me this. I was like, oh my God. First of all, she knows my name.
She certainly does now.
The president of our universe.
So, okay, now your perspective. I call you.
Yes.
I FaceTime you.
Charlotte calls me. Again, at this point, it's like, what, 10 p.m. on Saturday night. I'm minding my business, chilling at home, and I think I was wearing like a sweatsuit.
Yeah, you're in a sweatsuit in bed.
In bed.
Glasses on.
Glasses on, of course. Yeah. Not these ones. These are my like recording glasses. I have like my nighttime glasses.
Which
I told Charlotte about
these hurt Madeline's head.
Well,
these glasses hurt her head, but she insists on wearing them to record.
They look good.
No, they do.
I do. They're prescription glasses. They're not fake glasses,
right.
for the record. They're prescription glasses, but they kind of hurt my head. You know, any glasses wearers out there know. You know, they just kind of dig in your head, and no matter how much you stretch them, whatever. Anyway, so right. I have my nighttime, my heavy duty glasses.
Yeah, she's got the safety goggles on.
Safety goggles at night. So I have my safety goggles on and my sweatsuit. Charlotte FaceTimes me. I'm in bed. I answer. First of all, I'm like, what? I'm like, something's wrong. Like, well, which I guess in hindsight, something kind of was wrong.
But I think I said, you are not going to believe what just happened. And I really do look like I've seen a ghost at this point also. And I was like, just see, like, everyone's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think it presented as like, somebody died.
Yes. No, it was. That's what it felt like.
There was an emergency.
Yeah, it felt like an emergency. The look on Charlotte's face was like a deer in headlights, but also giddy and like a little just like wired.
Yeah.
So Charlotte tells me I just got off the phone with Jordon Hudson, and I think my jaw was just on the floor.
It
was in the earth.
It was like you had rocket boosters underneath. You sprung. You like levitated out of bed.
Yes.
And just like over the phone. You know, like really really low
I
angle.
I was just like this angle. You know, when you're just like half your face is in the shot. That's what it was like. So I could not believe it for so many reasons, especially considering we had just posted that Instagram the day before, and she clearly saw it, and then felt compelled to call Charlotte. And I love that, like, she called you like late at night, like
on a Saturday,
to like catch you off guard or something. I would assume
felt intentional. Also, at one point, I heard another woman's voice in the room.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay, something's weird.
Yeah.
Also, she said on that call that she thought that it seemed like we had been trying to cover this from more of a human interest standpoint than other people. She said, you know, you guys have gotten as close to the truth as anyone. You're still very far away from it. But, like, I think she respected that we had been trying to, or at least at the time, she felt that we were trying. Yeah, that's a tease, folks.
Tease in the biz.
At the time, she felt like we were really trying to do this. She also loved that we had said that she is Bill Belichick's Tree Payne. Tree Payne is Taylor Swift's redheaded publicist.
Yeah.
She said, I love that you said that I'm like Bill's Tree Payne because I am.
Which, iconic. And you know what? She is. I still stand by that.
And she said everybody loved Bill's media presence before they found out I was behind it.
Yeah. So Charlotte tells me, I'm like freaking out. I can't believe it. And I'm like, oh my God, well, what do we do? You know, it's like she called. Does she want to come on the show? Like, she clearly seems to want to like correct the record, but it's unclear. It seems to be about the Miss Maine pageant, but like, does she really want to actually come on? So we make the decision to not reach out to her on Sunday. We're like, let's take a beat. It was just so shocking. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, let's take a beat.
This whole thing felt like the early stages of dating someone.
Yes.
But like where you're like, well, I can't be too thirsty.
No. And you're like, well, we got to like wait a day to text.
Yeah. But like, that's fun. This was like,
yeah.
Anyways, Monday,
you have like a missed call from her and a text, and
in the morning,
and she's like, "Call me back," basically. And Charlotte and I decided, we're like, well, why don't we just send her a group text to say like, we'll get on the phone with you later in the afternoon,
which is what I said I would do when we talked on Saturday. Yeah. So we do. Don't hear anything. But then like around like, I don't know, 1:15, we were going to call her at 1:30. Actually, it was 1:17.
Oh, 1:17. Receipts. Receipts. Timeline. Everything.
Jeez. All right.
Okay, Real Housewives. So Charlotte and I were just sitting here at the dining room table, and I was like, we just got to call her. Like, this is like, will they, won't they dating. I'm like, let's book a date.
Right.
Let's get on.
Also because you had a feeling that there was a world in which she was calling because part of her wanted to come on the show.
Yeah, I had this. Yeah, it felt like she did.
So we call her. She doesn't answer. She calls us back. Yeah. And she wants to FaceTime.
Which, you know, when you're not prepared to FaceTime, like, you know, when someone calls, they're like, can we FaceTime? And you're like, I'm not ready. I wasn't mentally prepared to FaceTime, but we were like, well, okay, fine.
And it was a legit reason. She said, I want to be able to tell which of you is talking. Yeah. And we were like, well, that's fair. We do just sound a lot alike.
Yeah.
As sometimes podcast listeners are like, I can't tell you apart. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. So we get on FaceTime with her. I couldn't believe it. I knew Charlotte had spoken with her, but to then just see her on FaceTime again, it was like seeing the president of the United States. Like I said at the pageant, like I was just like, oh my God, it's Jordon Hudson on FaceTime.
On the porch of a big house.
Whose house? I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
She ever confirmed that she was sitting on a porch swing.
Yeah.
And again, this becomes a circular conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your initial reaction? Because I had already spoken to her at that point and had the feeling of like, where is this going?
Yeah, it felt, so the beginning of the conversation felt a little circular. I felt like 30 minutes into it, by the way, we talked to her for an hour and a half. Like 30 minutes into it, I was like, she seemed to feel a little bit more comfortable and she was just kind of talking at us, but it did feel like it made a little bit more sense. And maybe that came with just her being a little bit more comfortable talking to us.
Right.
By the end of the call, it's like we've been on the phone for like almost 2 hours and we're like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of this? And so I basically make the case to her. I'm like, come on the show. You want to correct the record about Miss Main Pageant and who knows what else? Like, come on the show, correct the record. Let's talk about this. Like, that's fair. You can come on, you know? And she seemed open to the idea of coming on.
I think it's important to note that there were times when we were talking to her where sometimes it didn't make sense, and there were sometimes these moments of lucidity where she would say something about what it's been like to be in the public eye and the fame, where we really empathized with her.
Yeah.
We were like, oh man, this has got to be wild. And we wanted to give her a chance to like tell us who she was, because and it would only have been fair if she came on the show. We've been talking about her for 8 months. Like, of course she should have a right to come on and be like, what? Why'd you say this? But that didn't happen. So anyway, so Tuesday we don't hear from her. Wednesday we don't hear from her. We leave it with her of like she's like, I think we can make this happen, and she wants to do it soon.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, great. So we text her Tuesday, or we called her Tuesday. She didn't answer. We text her Wednesday. Nothing. Just dark.
Yeah.
And this is where it really did. It felt like a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Also, both of our husbands were away.
They're away. And so we're just like kind of like out on our own.
We were like
on an island.
Astronauts loosed from a spaceship.
Yes, when they're
like
trying to bring them home.
Holding hands, being like, what do we do?
What was that movie? Was it George Clooney? Who was in space? No, you know what I'm talking.
I mean, they're like a lot of spacemen. First Man?
No, there was one they were in space and they're like floating off. Oh, what is that called? I don't know. Whatever.
Couldn't tell you.
Someone's going to tell us in the comments.
But both of our husbands separately, when we were telling them about this experience, they were like, sounds kind of like you're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, it felt like that.
And that's what it felt like. It like maybe it partly rattled me and it like harkened back to like some people I dated where I was just like, oh my God.
What was I doing? And it felt like what it was too, to kind of add on to that, was like it was all consuming.
Yes.
Which is like being in a toxic dynamic. It was all consuming. Like I said, we were having a liquid diet. Like we couldn't eat normal solid food because we were just like so on edge and so consumed. Like it was like, because we were just like, I can't believe this. Like, is happening? Is she gonna come on? Is she not? What is she even saying? Like,
and part of it is because this would have been such a huge get.
Yeah.
To sit down with her. And we said as much to her. And she clearly knew it because she was the one calling the shots about communication. We were also trying to stay professional. Like, hey, Jordon, let us know what time could work. We've cleared our schedule for like really, because this is journalism. She is a source. It felt like she kept wanting us to cross some boundary of like, sometimes it was like she was asking for guidance or like a friendship. And we'll get into that more. But so Thursday, we were like, we need to call her. And up to that point, we want to preface this. The Athletic comes back into this. That she didn't know we were signing with the Athletic podcast network. Obviously, I don't. Why would she know? But we felt like we had to tell her that this was happening. We didn't want to like surprise her if the episode came out and had like Athletic branding, not like our old branding, basically. Right.
So we get on the phone with her, and I can't remember exactly what we said. I think we just said, hey, we want to be transparent with you, because it's like clearly there had been some trust built up, but we also like just couldn't read her, I think, even though it felt like she was opening up to us more than maybe someone else in our position. I don't know. Could be wrong.
Still, again, like not telling us concrete facts, more about her opinions about situations where you're like, I can't even verify, like what?
Right.
But
so we tell her we're joining the Athletic Podcast Network, and she was not pleased.
she was like, the Athletic's been awful to me. She really hasn't liked the reporting.
Yeah.
It was like a deal breaker.
Yeah.
She said, I don't want to make the Athletic any money.
Yeah.
And we were like,
we're like,
that. First of all, like, this show is still, like, this is still our show.
this is still the show. Yeah.
Just, you know, we did some weird stuff in our first episode with the Athletic. Like, if that doesn't prove to you that nothing's changed, like, it was, I think, too, because we understand media, we were like, this doesn't change anything.
No.
But to her, the principle of it, and she got very hung up about that. In other times, she was talking about, like, can so-and-so use my likeness? Can we, you know, she's sort of obsessed with the legality of what people can use.
Of like her image, how her image can be used, which is interesting considering she has a public Instagram with over 100,000 followers and posts pretty frequently on it.
Or used to.
Used to. I mean, she hasn't posted, but she's still posting some, but it's like she was pretty online and very public.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how much she cared about like how her image was being used
to make other people money.
Right.
That was something she was very fixated on. So at this point, we were like, let us think about this for a second. We had an event to go to that night.
We did. A cocktail attire event, which, by the way, Charlotte and I are not often going to things where we're like putting on a dress.
I mean, look at us.
Look at us.
If you're not looking at us, you can watch this on YouTube. But if you're hearing us, we're wearing T-shirts.
We're wearing T-shirts.
And, you know, I don't usually wear a dress unless I'm going to a wedding.
Right.
I mean, it was fun. But I was like, it was a Thursday night.
Yeah.
We're rattled. We have Jordon on speaker in the car, in the Uber on the way to this party.
Right.
We were like, look, if we do this interview last Friday, if we do this the last possible day before we sign with the Athletic, will you come on the show? And she seemed comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I think this gets into the broader PR picture of like she wants intense control.
Yeah.
Without understanding you will never have that, so you got to choose a different strategy.
Right.
So we'll get into that. So we are standing outside of this venue. It is raining. We are wearing dresses, and she is asking us about the logistics of like YouTube, and she keeps saying she needs to look at the YouTube page to map it out. And we were like, okay, look, we'll call you after this event.
Yeah. And we ended that call, I believe. It seemed like she was inching towards coming on, and was hinting at like, well, let me figure out travel plans, which we'll get to that. So it seemed like she was inching towards it. Like we had kind of turned around again, like this like high-low dynamic of like, will she, won't she? It felt like it was like she was going to.
The weirdest romance of all time.
Totally.
And we were like on a high at this party, and someone was like, hey, you know, like have loved the coverage of Jordon and Bill. And we were like,
thank you.
We're like, thank you so much.
Like, you have no idea.
Like looking at each other being like, oh my God. And I'm checking my phone, and she called. We're at this thing. We had said we'll be there for like maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
We're like, we can't leave 20 minutes into call.
No.
We have to be cool.
Play hard to get.
Like, what? It was, and we felt crazy because, again, she is like this person we've been talking about. She is a public figure.
Right.
She's also only talking to us.
Yes.
We don't really know what's happening. Is she going to, it's 9:30 at night. Is she going to be on the show tomorrow?
Right. There's no playbook for how to handle this sort of situation.
No.
There's no rule book of what you should and shouldn't do. Because this has never happened.
Right. And I think in you know, journalism wise, we kept every conversation we had with her was with the purpose of getting her to come on the show.
Yes.
And so we get home Thursday to our respective homes. We don't live together. Just clarifying that. And we call her. And that was probably the most interesting conversation where we were like, we kept saying to her, we were like, Jordon, come on the show. She was talking about how, you know, being famous felt like looking at herself in a funhouse mirror with this stuff coming out. She asked us, a PR firm had these shirts made.
Oh, yeah. That were sent to us.
And
it was a shirt that had us speaking on a panel. And then it was photos of Bill and Jordon in kind of like cheesy, like 80s, like, I don't know, airbrushy kind of font. And it had the phrase, we're not talking about this, from the CBS Sunday Morning interview on it. And they sent them to us, and we posted an Instagram about it. And she was like, where did you get those shirts? Did you get them made? And we're like, no, they were sent to us.
Also, like, if no one's ever asked you, hey, why do you have my face multiple times on a T-shirt that you put on Instagram when you don't know me?
Right.
It's a weird question.
Yeah.
I felt like, I was like, I feel like a real creep.
Yeah.
But it's also a meme.
Right.
Like, do you know how memes work?
Right.
You know,
it was like an in-joke.
We were like, you should make merch.
Yeah, and then she was like asking how to like have a merch business.
And we were like,
and I was like, I don't
know.
know. The tariffs, I don't know.
Madeline started talking about
The tariffs. I was like, I don't know what I'm talking. Then I was like, Charlotte, I'm just like, all right, we got to like wrap this up. So,
but we've been on the phone for an hour.
Almost an
hour. It's
hour.
11:45.
I'm so tired. I am so tired. And it's just been such a week. Just this, oh my God, it just kept going on and on and on.
And so she keeps talking. Finally, we're like, Jordon, listen, if you're going to come on the show tomorrow, let us know. And she was like, let me look at some travel stuff. There's a way that I might be in New York.
Yeah.
At 11:45. I'm like, I don't even know if you can book stuff still.
Right.
But I'm like, okay. And she was like, are you night owls? And we were like, well, we'll be up.
We will be a night owl.
Again. And it felt like it was like, I would never do this with another source, but because of who she is to us and what it would have meant to get her on the show, and she hasn't given an interview to anyone. And this is the biggest story in sports. We said that to her.
Yeah.
We're like, Jordon, whether you like it or not, you are a part of the biggest story in sports.
Yep.
This year.
Yeah.
And so we stay up. It's 1:30.
Yeah.
And we were like,
What
are
we
you
doing?
coming on the show? She doesn't respond. We were like, we'll check in the morning. We woke up in the morning and we were like, it was like we woke from a fever dream.
Yeah. Charlotte and I both kind of like at the same moment, I think we got together, and I was just like, we can't keep doing this. Like this, I was like,
this is over.
I threw in the towel.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it.
This is
I
not
can't keep doing
worth this is not worth whatever this is, because it feels weird. It feels like it was just so bizarre. So we don't hear from her. We go to get a smoothie again because we have no
Liquid
appetite. And we go home, and I was like, and we're talking. We had like a bunch of conversations about the athletic launch that day, and I was like, I just need to like not look at my phone for a second. There's something I had to read unrelated to work on my computer, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to finish reading this thing. But I have text on my computer, so like a little, the little red bubble pops up, and I click it, and Madeline's like, Jordon just called me.
Yeah. I don't answer.
I look at my phone. I have 2 missed calls from her.
Yeah.
I
think I FaceTimed you.
You FaceTimed me, and your instinct.
My instinct was don't answer it.
Why?
Because she called me and Charlotte twice, and I was like, I don't think this is good. Charlotte was like, well, what if she's like at LaGuardia or something, like in Brooklyn, which could have been an option just based on like how the week had gone, that she would have just done something like that. Been like, I'm here. Where should I go to do this interview?
Yeah, I would have felt silly if we had been like trying to get her to come on, and then she's like, I'm literally in New York. Where do I go?
Right. And I think I was like, don't. I think I was in the middle of saying like, don't answer, and Charlotte's like, I'm going to answer, and I was like, okay.
My heart is beating. This. Okay.
And so Charlotte answers. Simultaneously, I had to go to a meeting. So I'm going to a meeting. I'm not on this call. Charlotte texts me.
Which I'll say, tough one to be on by myself.
That is a very tough one.
And it's not your fault.
No.
You know that.
No, yes, I know. Oh, I know.
But I guess there is some narrative completion here in the fact that she called me alone Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then Friday at 2:45, I answer. She, it starts out, there's like a real edge to her voice this time. And she was like, travel, I couldn't make travel work. There's been some shifts in my schedule. And I was like, okay. And then she really starts, she's yelling at me. She's crying. She said that she finished the rest of the Miss Maine episode and she didn't like what we said. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, I thought we've been talking about the Miss Maine episode that we did, that you watched the whole time. Complete 180 from, not complete because we had a feeling that there was this like tension in the calls.
It felt like we were always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Like even when she brought up, actually now I'm thinking about this, on Thursday night about the t-shirts, her tone and her voice was kind of like, well, why did you have that?
Right.
Like almost like we were being interrogated a little bit. So it felt like, there were like moments like that throughout some of these calls. And so, I don't think it was like completely surprising because we always felt like during this entire process, like, why is she calling? Like, it feels like it's almost like it was too good to be true.
It felt like, has she been mischaracterized? Like, is she more, professional than people are saying? But we were kind of, there was also a weirdness to it. So she's like, and this goes on for like 13 minutes. I mean, I'm shaking. Like, I think there have been few times, and which is like, fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
She's a source. I'm a journalist. This is my job. I've had sources yell at me before. Like,
Right.
James Dolan's PR people have called me in the middle of the night to tell me I'm horrible. Like, that's fine. But I've had people yell at me before, but this felt, because we had what we thought built up some level of trust with her.
Yeah.
I think it felt like it was incredibly jarring.
Yeah.
And, you know, you when someone's yelling at you, you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
Right.
But I was in my head, I'm like, we haven't done anything.
No.
Like, we've been talking to you about giving you a platform to come talk to us.
Right.
And all of a sudden, and I think what happened was, so either she just did finish watching the Miss Main episode, or she'd already watched it and she'd kind of wanted to yell at us the whole time, but she got swept up in it too. Or
Yeah.
if she had watched it, it was like she felt betrayed by people that she, in her head, thought we were
Right.
more to her than reporters.
Right.
And she was like, you've been so nice to my face all week. How can you say these things?
Right. Right.
And these things were just like, we were talking about her performance from a PR perspective at the Miss Main pageant.
Yeah, because as one of our main takeaways from that was saying, you know, we didn't feel like she was the one to win, which I still stand by saying that. Mm-hmm. She deserved the place she got.
And also the way that she answered her question on stage. Every candidate who makes it to the top 5 gets a question. She spoke directly to the live stream and said, anyone who's going through adversity, I'm proud of myself for being here. Hate never wins. Like,
Yeah.
addressing the situation of the public interest around her life instead of putting the focus on the Miss Main pageant, which, regardless of who you are, I don't care who you are, just PR wise,
Yeah.
that is what a publicist would tell you to do. Put it back on the Miss Main pageant.
Yes.
Don't use this as a chance to make a vague statement that people are obviously going to pick up.
Right. And it felt like there were so many parallels with that takeaway from the Miss Main episode about how you handle fame and publicity and public image. And this week, it's like, she called a reporter. Like, that is a fact. She called a reporter. There was no publicist on the other line. Like, it's kind of like, what were you doing?
I know.
And it feels like she's just kind of out on her own doing whatever she wants. Whether people knew that she was talking to us or not, we don't know. It felt like they didn't know, because I feel like they wouldn't have advised her to continue speaking to us. But it felt like all of the decisions she makes kind of reflect that sort of statement she gave at the Miss Main pageant. Just
Yes.
kind of like her against the world. She's going to say whatever she wants. She's going to post on Instagram. She wants to be a public figure, but also doesn't want to be. It's like, you can't have it both ways.
Yep.
It's not how it works.
Yep. And I think, too, you know, we had told her on Thursday night that if she didn't come on the show, today on Thursday, August 7th, we were going to do a show talking about the fact that we've been talking to her. Because we said we can't keep covering this story without telling our audience we've been talking about you, because more stuff's going to happen, talking to you, because more stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it would have felt very disingenuous to be like, hey, we had this really bizarre experience with her, but
Right.
like, let's talk about Jordon as if we've never spoke. Like, we had that. Journalistically, we had to say that this happened. So she knew that on Thursday. She said, okay, there was like this moment where it felt like she was like, I get it,
Yeah.
for your audience. And we're like, oh, okay, that's really reasonable. To know that and then call me so upset on Friday.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing? You know,
Right.
you want to be like, save her from herself. You're
Yeah,
like, don't,
yeah.
like,
What are you doing?
Person to person, don't do this.
No.
In our roles, this is what we have to say you did now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And clearly that bridge is burned. Like, she clearly doesn't trust us anymore. She especially won't trust us once this comes out. We don't really trust her as a reliable narrator about herself. I
Yeah.
think how she handles situations, what maybe has been going on behind the scenes, if this is a pattern,
Yeah.
then anything she could have told us herself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it also just reaffirmed that her coming on the show, we wouldn't have learned anything new, and she wouldn't have answered questions with the clarity that I think people want.
Right. Right.
It would have been like a circular conversation. Who knows what it would have been about, but it wouldn't have been productive for anyone.
It would have been about the Miss Main pageant.
Yeah.
And
But who even knows?
Right.
Who knows?
Right. And also, like, anytime we asked her a question about Bill, she would deflect.
Yeah.
We got no information about Bill, about her role at UNC. It was clear she wouldn't give us anything.
Yeah.
Which I understand. Like, that was a smart PR decision on her part.
Right.
But all of the other stuff didn't make any sense.
No.
And, like, I also think just, like, we should talk about our role in this now and sort of the power dynamics here as well, or the experience of this whole thing. You said something really interesting about your experience, our experience at the Miss Maine pageant, and then this past week and how they mirrored each other.
Yeah. So on day one of the pageant, it was almost like we became more captivated by her as the pageant went on that day, because she was really good at it. She has incredible stage presence. She commanded the stage. She kept eye contact with the judges until the last millisecond she got off stage. She was really good at it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we basically said to each other. And then on the show, like, wow, like, she really knows her stuff.
After day one, I think we said, like, she should win.
Yeah, we were like, she should win. We're like, oh my God, she really did a great job. She has a very good chance of winning this thing. Day two, after she gave the answer saying hate never wins, directed at the live stream, made it about herself, our opinion completely shifted. It was like the curtain had been removed from, like, unveiled, you know?
Yeah.
And that we were like, oh, this person is just wanting to say things that only help her, or she feels that will help her, even though, as we said, she should have made the answer about the other women in the pageant, how grateful she is to be there. It felt like a moment that she wanted to just, like, capitalize on the spotlight for herself.
And you could argue, I mean, first of all, that's her right. You could argue it sort of sucks that PR-wise, in order to have people like you, you have to, you know, be humble or be whatever, especially as a young woman. Like, I get it, but in the world of pageants, that is what you have to do for the judges to award you. This is not our personal opinion of, like, what she should have done. This is what she should have done to win the pageant.
Right. It's like, you're playing the game to win the pageant.
Yes.
So, and when she said that, I remember looking at Trub and like, oh, ugh, like, bad taste in my mouth.
Well, it's also, it's making it about the public circus going on around her. It's not even just herself. It is directly addressing the elephant in the room without being like, there's an elephant in the room, just being like, something big's in here.
Yeah.
Yes. You know?
Yes. It's not addressing it. Yeah. And that's how I think we felt when Charlotte texted me while she was on the phone with Jordon, when she was like, she's yelling at me. I was like, oh yeah, this is like day two of the pageant.
Yeah.
That was like day two. Like, up till, I mean, even going into Thursday night, it was maybe leaning a little bit more towards day two of the pageant. But when that happened, I was like, this is like day two of the pageant.
Yeah. That was a
lost
moment.
The plot.
The cover, the curtain
went away. I don't, you know what the word is.
Wizard of Oz, whatever.
Disappeared.
Yeah. So I think too, something that we've been thinking about is obviously the power dynamics here. She clearly has a lot of power because she is the partner of the highest paid employee of the state of North Carolina. There's been reporting that what she's done at UNC has impacted the outcome of deals there, like with the NFL, whether they did Hard Knocks there, they didn't. Reporting came out partly because of her. You know, I think she definitely has a different narrative of that, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But also, you know, she's 24. We're in our 30s. There felt like there were, and we've both said, the interesting thing about the Jordon and Bill story is not the age gap, it's the power dynamics.
Yeah.
I think the age gap in our case factored in a little bit of, like, talking to a 24-year-old, where at times it felt like she was much older and at times it felt like she was much younger. And, you know, we're journalists. We have a platform. We're talking about this now. She also has a platform.
Right.
And isn't using it in way, like, I don't know. It's just been, like, such a weird experience to feel like she wanted us to be something more. She wanted guidance or friendship.
Something.
She wanted our personal opinion. She kept saying, tell me why you said this on the Miss Maine pageant. We were like, we will have that conversation with you if you come on the show.
Yeah.
This isn't...
We're not friends.
No. And that, I think, was... I don't know that she fully computed that, and then maybe she did on Friday and couldn't help herself.
Well, and I think that's also where the PR piece comes into play. Like, she was calling reporters, and whether she thought we were her friends or not, we don't know. It just felt like she was more comfortable with us. It's like that, like, she should have known better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and that to me comes into play where it's like she clearly is kind of doing whatever she wants without, it appears to be, at least from the outside observing, there's not much guidance from a PR standpoint or how to handle your comms strategy. You know what I mean? Like, that, to me, her feeling that way and yelling at you felt like almost like a result of that. Like, that maybe she felt like, oh, oops, I'm a little in over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to kind of handle it was like she was upset, clearly. You know what I mean? And like yelling because like she didn't know what else to do. Even though that was like the worst thing she could have
Right.
done.
And maybe she didn't want to come on the show and she was like, let me just end it.
Right.
Like,
maybe.
we haven't heard from her since.
Yeah.
I think too that, you know, there's an element of this where we're like, it's good she didn't come on the show because it would have been more of the same. And I think she would have been trying to control the situation the way that she was sort of, you know, calling late at night or being hot and cold and I'll do it or I won't do it. But also, like, obviously, if she'd come on the show, this would be an even bigger episode.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
There's transparency here, you know? Like, emotionally, I think we're glad it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, traffically would have been great.
For the show.
And I think that there was some level of understanding about that, but also just from a journalism perspective, it felt very strange to be like, we gave her so much more leeway than we maybe should have, but also what would someone else have done in our position with a chance to talk to this person?
Yeah. It felt like it was our only option but to play it out. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, played out the way it did, but it's like, what were we going to do? Not answer, like talk to her when she's verbally told us she wants to come on the show?
And before she yelled at me on Friday, we were like, this would be a fascinating episode to talk to her about her experience. And I think Friday showed that it probably might not have gone great.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think it would have.
And it feels weird. It even feels weird to be talking about it. It does. In some way, because like at some point we did have trust with her.
Yeah.
But again, we're not her friends. We are journalists, and like she should have known that this is what she was getting herself into all along. I mean, it's interesting with UNC. You know, football season's like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
They got very close to it without something about Bill's personal life coming out. And we know that because we're doing this episode, that now has changed. So again, being a part of the story in that way, it's just like, you know, not just drinking smoothies, like we're in a blender. I don't know. You know, like
we're in a media blender.
And we want to be transparent about that because like that is, of course that plays into it. Like she is a person.
Yeah.
We know that she's going to be affected by this, but at the end of the day, she made decisions about us in a way that she had to have known would have affected her.
Yeah. And we have a responsibility to the show, to our listeners, to be transparent with what's going on. Yeah. Like as Charlotte mentioned earlier, like we couldn't have continued reporting on this story without mentioning this.
No.
The elephant would have exploded in the room. It would have been so big.
The circus would have come to town.
A giraffe would have stuck in the room.
Whoa, what's that?
I like that.
So anyway. Yeah. So that's that. I think that it was a truly fascinating. I'll be interested to see what happens next. But I also think that, you know, moving forward, stories about Jordon, it's going to feel a little bit like we've said all there is to say based on our experience with her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I feel like even when we were talking about our last October, our intuitions and guts were right about the situation. I mean, as we said months and months and months ago, that this was a story about power and not really about the age gap. That wasn't what was interesting. That it's like, I just feel like our gut has been right the whole time. And this just almost confirmed what we had suspected. Yeah. You know, and to your point, it's like, what new is going to come? Like, I mean, listen, if they get married and have a wedding with some compressed flowers.
Wow. We'll cover it.
Now we're talking, you know.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, what else is there to say?
Yeah.
That's new. That's going to add anything new to the conversation that we have not already said for months.
Yeah. And I think that this show is this show is about people. This show is about PR. A lot of what we go off of is what people are putting, athletes, teams, adjacent figures in the sports world are putting out, how that affects them, how that affects how the public sees them.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like a media literacy podcast in some ways.
It's like we're going off of what's publicly available.
Right.
And we are going off of, I mean, like our own experience working in media, my own experience running large social accounts, like just understanding how the public image can impact someone's perception in the world. And I think this was just like a masterclass in using all of those skills to understand a power dynamic.
It seems like she's mad at the world, doesn't want to have to play by certain rules, wants it both ways, wants to be public and private based on things she's done. And like there's a reason that there are publicists and people who manage a public image. We are public figures, not nearly to the degree she is. Anytime I post anything on Instagram, I think, what is the least charitable thing someone could say about this?
Right.
I posted some pictures from the summer. There's a picture of me on a tennis court looking like a real idiot in tennis whites, and I was like, this is funny enough to me, and like making fun of myself enough that like I'm so New England. Like, if the worst thing someone says is, I mean, you can say horrible thing. You know what I mean? Like, great, fine. Like, there's a level of self-awareness. If you're going to be public, you need to either be okay, don't read stuff about yourself, or if you do, be able to let it roll off your back. And if something stings, maybe it's because there's something there that you fear is true.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that it's a part of, like, social media exists to judge people. Like, whether you use social media and you put something out there and you think, wow, everyone's going to love this. That's a judgment. You think, wow, everyone's going to rip me apart. That's a judgment. But that's what these platforms are for. They are for reactions. You can't post something and think you won't get a reaction.
And if you want it the other way, if you don't want people talking about things, why do you have an Instagram account with 100,000 followers?
So, okay, well, there you have it.
There you have it. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. And if you have been listening to this story since the beginning, we really appreciate it and hope that people have learned something new, I hope.
Yeah.
Through this journey.
Yeah. And maybe we'll be able to like have a sandwich or something after.
Oh my
this.
God, yes, some solid food.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get through this thing going out into the world too, and then let's talk.
Yeah, then we'll talk about sandwiches.
Thank you so much. Rate, review, like, subscribe. Thank you to The Athletic. This is a hell of a second episode. We are very grateful for all of the support we've gotten there.
Yep. And
unlike Jordan, we're big fans.
We are big fans. So. Yeah. And as always, be sure to follow us on Instagram @SportsGossip and on TikTok @SportsGossipShow.
Okay.